What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. I hope you enjoyed the thumbnail. I was part of the creative process for once, and I thought to the lads, you know what? Let's have a bit of fun with tonight's thumbnail. I've always wanted to be Thomas the Tank Engine, so there you go. I know what you're all thinking. Craig, if you're going for a Thomas the Tank Engine character, the Fat Controller is clearly where you're best suited. I get you. But I wanted to be Thomas, damn it. And I should be Thomas. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be Thomas the Tank Engine. Choo-choo! How are we all doing? We good? JC, thank you so much, my man. I see you gifted 20 Anfield Agenda memberships in the chat before we started. That's absolutely incredible of you, do. Thank you so much. When he's not making Anfield Agenda badges, he's making Anfield Agenda community proud and happy. Well in, JC. Right, my friends, how we doing? Loads to get through tonight. We're going to be talking about the situation with LeBron. We're going to give you more detail on that. We're going to be talking about the mixed news coming out of Saudi around the situation at Al Hilal with Neymar. You know, some talk his contract's been terminated, other talk that from Fabrizio that it isn't. He's just out for the remainder of the season and they need to free up a bit of space in the squad. We'll be talking about Jordan Henderson. He's now made his move to Ajax. We'll be talking about the number he'll be wearing, how long he'll be there. And of course, we'll be talking about the likes of Idikora. We'll be talking about centre-backs for Liverpool and loads of other bits and pieces. But you know what? We can also talk about the game because it's getting close. And that's great because it's felt like a long time. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely missed Liverpool playing over the last 10 days or so. Right, what have we got? That thumbnail, I know I'm quite proud of it. There are some thumbnails that you will see my little cheeky footprints on, and that's one of them. Now, I don't know if that image of me as Thomas the Tank Engine will haunt you in your dreams forever. If so, you're welcome. Right, Craig, would you take Todd Boehly over FSG? No, I wouldn't. Because one thing we can guarantee with FSG is the club's still going to be around and trading in 20 years. The way Todd Boehly's approach at Chelsea has gone, I think that's a huge financial headache coming down the line for Chelsea when, in my guesstimation, they're going to be stuck with a load of players on high contracts, long contracts that nobody else will buy out of those contracts. There's only so many players Todd Boehly can ship off to Saudi and get his money back on. Eventually that pathway will run dry, so I think they're in trouble longer term. Come on, Craig, Mbappe talk. Relax now. We gotta ease into it a little bit. You know, there's loads to get to, and we like to give it 10 minutes before we get stuck into the full chat because we want to give people a chance to come in and get their bearings. So let me just grab my notes as well. So Jordan Henderson, by the way, is going to be taking number 6 at Ajax. I'm sure you've probably seen that already. His contract was most certainly terminated by mutual consent, according to the club over in Saudi. Steven Gerrard, as I mentioned earlier on, has also signed a new contract at Al Ettifaq, which will keep him as their manager until 2027, if I remember right. What are your thoughts on Diaz on the right wing? I think he has dreams and songs to sing. Sorry, couldn't help myself. I think it's the most common sense thing we can do with Mo away. I feel like he's the best option we have on the right wing. We tried Elliott in a couple of games, and again, I can understand why Klopp's tried Elliott there. We've used Elliott occasionally in the right wing when we've rotated Mo or whatever, but nah, I don't think it's the right fit for Elliott to be playing right wing. I'd rather him drop back into midfield and have Diaz on the right. Right, Al Ettifaq for 12 million from Henderson. I know, it's a crazy situation, right? So Liverpool got the 12 mil or whatever it was, and then it ends up being terminated, which is why you can see he'll probably have to pay some money back to the Saudi Pro League club because, well, they shelled out money for him. If there was one player from Saudi you could sign, who would it be? God, I mean, it's a good question. I'll give you that one. Who would it be? You know, thinking back through the players that have gone over, I'm trying to be realistic about where they would fit into our squad, right? And hear me out before you jump down my throat. Hear me out. I know there'll be loads of talk of Neymar and all this stuff, but I'm going to say something a little bit different. I'm going to say with what we need right now and what we could do for a short period, I'm going to say Mitrovic. I don't think Mitrovic in the long term is good enough for Liverpool, but I wouldn't mind having him through the centre as an option when we play low block teams and stuff, as a bit of a battering ram, because he certainly can put his head on the ball and knows how to force a goal. So Mitrovic maybe. I'm sure there are better suited players in the league that we could actually go with, but I'd say probably Mitrovic off the top of my head. Martial on loan. Now, you're all right, Jens. Do you know what? I wouldn't want to take him away and ruin the fact that he's just about to get himself a testimonial at Manchester United, which is honestly, that will probably be the biggest piss-taking testimonial in the history of Premier League football if he gets one. 10 years of wearing gloves and doing not much else for Mr. Martial there at Manchester United. It's crazy, dude, to think he's there that long and still blagging it. It has to be Gabriel Vega. Sam Maximan's a decent shout, actually, Sam. And do you know what? See, I don't remember off the top of my head the list of players that have gone over there. Did you guys see Paul Machin from Redmen TV's list of ranking of Liverpool signings? Have you guys seen this on social media? Now, look, these things, you're probably expecting me to take a cheap shot here, and I will, but not as much as you think. So these things are subjective, and look, like Paul said, I'm sure there is context needed to the list. I'm absolutely open to that. These things are always required a bit of context, but there's a huge part of me that thinks surely that's bait, that list. I mean, it has to be. I can't believe that somebody who watches Liverpool like Paul does, and who, you know, knows a lot about the club like Paul does, that he actually thinks that list is real. The top 5, fair enough. You can argue about order and stuff like that. But man, some of that list is crazy. Yeah, like, I'm not going to go into it. If you see the list yourself, let me know your thoughts on it maybe. But I can only imagine. It has to be Bay. I can't believe it's not Bay. And again, no digs intended. And I mean that. I'm not trying to have a dig at Paul. I'm not. And I believe him when he says context is needed for some of the lists. That's fair enough, but yeah, I would have a lot of issues with, let's say, off the top of my head, Shaqiri being ahead of Kanade, as an example. I don't understand, whatever the context is, how anybody could say that Sheridan Shaqiri should be ahead of Ibrahim Kanade on a list of Jurgen Klopp transfers. I'm not having that, sorry. There's no way, no world that's rational thinking to me. Right, anyway, I think the list is pretty solid, said Dylan. The top 5 or so, maybe 6, look, you can argue about order, we all have personal preference, but I'm pretty much on the money with that, to be fair. But when you get to the middle part of the list, and also, have a little look on the list for me with number 36 for you, because that's not a real human being. So have a look at that list. I don't know who Mela is, I'm sure they meant Melo, but anyway, the list says Mela at 36, but yeah, I mean, I've got a comment on it because it's in the Liverpool sphere and I know I'm going to be asked about it, but top 5, yeah. I'd have a different order slightly with the top 5. I think Mo number 1 is absolutely right. I would personally move Alisson up to number 2, but these things can be a personal preference, absolutely can. But it is an interesting talking point all the same. And yeah, I can't say I've ever really seen the list of all Klopp signings before, so if nothing else, it made for interesting reading over the players that Klopp has signed since he's been at the club. David explains most of it. No, I get it. Dylan, look, there have been times where I take cheap shots, mate. This isn't one of them. I absolutely understand that the video will give a context, and that's fair enough, because all these things without context can certainly get misconstrued. But as I'm saying, there are some of them I just don't think there is context to make sense to me on them. But look, ultimately, these are all personal preferences. Right, Andre. So, as we said to you guys earlier on, Ben Jacobs has confirmed that Fulham have indeed sent an offer of 30 million plus 5 million in add-ons over to Fluminense for Andre Trinidad. They've already agreed personal terms, I think, before or during the Copa Libertadores, not the Copa Libertadores, the Club World Cup. So, keep an eye on that situation. Not yet seen any counter offers from anybody else going in, so it looks like Fulham could very well have a free run. Where did Mane rank? He was fairly high, I think 6 off the top of my head. Look, as I said, the top 5 or 6, maybe even 7 on the list, absolutely on the money. you could argue over one or two positions for your personal preferences. But no, ultimately, the top part of the list was spot on. Is it just me that hope Egypt's going to lose? Look, it depends what we want the world to believe. Like, ultimately, the shithouse inside all of us probably wants Mo to be knocked out with Egypt as quick as possible and get him back to playing with Liverpool. Let's be honest. But you also want to see your players achieve their goals. And from that regard, you know, you want these players to be fulfilled and be happy, and they're not going to be happy if they go out Egypt early doors. They're saying with Japan, if Watoro got knocked out early doors with Japan, I'm sure he wouldn't be happy either. So, yeah. But look, I won't lie, I want the lads back injury-free and as quickly as possible. And thank you, Frankie, for the super chat, mate. Appreciate you. Blur's Milk said, catch me up, just joined. Didn't really go into too much yet, mate, in all honesty. We haven't really missed a lot. We've just kind of been chit-chatting for the first few minutes before we got stuck into the big stories of the day. I'm going to go and take you guys through the situation with Mbappe and his conversation, or the highlights from his conversation with LeBron James, and see what we think about it. So let me get to it, because I know that's what a lot of us are here for tonight, and I'm certainly here for it. So let me just get the notes for you guys, and we can go through these. Right. So, in an interview with GQ magazine, which I assume I'll be doing an interview with next. I mean, Eddie Hearn was on it, I think, at one point. Kylian Mbappe was on it. Makes sense that I'm going to be on it, right? Anyway, this is what he said. Mbappe lifted the lid on his relationship with LeBron James and revealed the NBA star has a major influence on his decision-making. He has a much more advanced career than I do, and projects outside sport that have cemented his place as a legend. Being able to ask such an inspiring personality for advice is a chance to adjust my projects and create my own things that is effective as possible for today's young people. He goes on to say, these projects grow with me and make me particularly proud. It's important for me to convey values like dialogue, sharing my surrounding myself with partners who support above all, and understand and validate my societal commitment. These are the things that I plan to bring to Liverpool with me when I sign a 7-year contract and play for Jurgen Klopp next summer. Alright, you didn't say the last line of that. I made that up. But the rest of it is true. And the rest of it is very insightful, to be honest with you. You know, it is important for people with the profile of Kylian Mbappe or LeBron James or Ronaldo or Messi or any of these people to inspire those around them, to lift up other people, and to, I guess, inspire people to chase their dreams. So, yeah, I thought that was an interesting insight. Now, look, none of us know what LeBron said to Kylian, but we can all assume. I heard that it was, Ancelotti's a fraud, Bellingham's a hype job, you're far better off in Anfield. Vinicius Jr is grand, but, you know, he's not fit to shine your boots, Kylian. And also, you know, the nightlife in Liverpool's a lot better if you fancy it. That's all I'm saying. Although I don't know what the nightlife in Madrid is. And he definitely wouldn't have said any of those things. But I like to think that he said to him, get yourself to Anfield, fella. Get yourself over there. Sign that contract. Get a Klopp hug. I've had a Klopp hug. It's amazing. Now, I'm being LeBron in this conversation, obviously. I never knew Chris Hughton manages Ghana. Yeah, I did know till the other day, because there was a story that he was confronted by one of the fans, I think at the team hotel when they were coming back from the opening game that Ghana played in the AFCON. I think they lost 2-1, if my memory's right. And yeah, Chris Hughton was confronted, is that the right word? By the way, I was watching a little bit of the Nigeria game against the Ivory Coast earlier on. That Nigeria shirt is banging. That white one, oh my god, it's beautiful. I don't know if the pattern that they have on their shirts is a particular Nigerian historic pattern or whatever, but it's gorgeous. And that white shirt was delicious. Definitely worth a look if you haven't seen it before. Or you want to treat yourself to a new jersey. That Nigerian one was absolutely top notch. Now, they won the game 1-0, a penalty, meaning the Ivory Coast are in a bit of trouble. But, you know, I love the colour. Is it just me, or does the AFCON always have the best jerseys of tournaments? Like, you get your when you get a World Cup, Euros, or Copa America, you get some really cool shirts. Like, you get some very historic shirts. Like, the Argentina ones are always lovely. But, man, the the AFCON shirts are next level. I always love the shirts at the AFCON. They're always beautiful and very vibrant and the yeah, nice shirts. What else we got? Salah injured. Salah down. I mean, can we not get ahead of ourselves? Calm down. He's down. Fair enough. But we need more context. Salah injured isn't giving us much information. So give me what's happening with Salah. Preference, a Klopp hug or a Mila Kunis hug? Honestly, if we're just dishing out hugs, Klopp. Not even joking. Potential hamstring. Okay. Huh. Hamstring, said Whitehammer. Sorry, I'm trying to process this in my mind as we're live. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Like, he's subbed off, right? You said he's already gone off. That game's only 15 minutes old, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I think that was a 8:30 or an 8 o'clock kickoff. So he can't be too long on it. Sugar. That's not going to be great. Anybody know off the top of their head what the time frame might be for a hamstring, if it's a strain or a tear? I'm just trying to remember other play like Soboslai was a hammy as well. That was what, 2-3 weeks with his one, but that wasn't bad if I remember correctly. That was a minor one. Doesn't look like he's limping, said Craig Gatland. Has he been substituted, or is he just still off the pitch? 3 to 6 weeks. Yeah, that sounds about fair. 3 to 6 weeks is what the chat are saying. Looks like a strain, said Whitehammer. Yeah, sorry, people talk about the time of the game. Yeah, I was confusing the Atletico Madrid Real Madrid game. That was the 8:30 kickoff in my head. Sorry, it was 8 for the AFCON. You're right. I'm trying to go through your comments really quickly. Ghana scored as well. 1-0 Ghana. Salah injured. Looks really upset, which is never a good sign. Yes, Nick, that's the type of information I need. You're right. If it does look, if he's upset looking, that's the signs for me. I always look at the body language of the players in these scenarios. So if he looks worried, then the joys of mid-season tournaments. I hope it's... Look, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, and I don't want to be a doom monger, but you certainly hope that this is on the lower end of the scale, because the last thing anybody can afford, be it Egypt in the AFCON or certainly us in the Prem, we can't have Mo out for long. This is the money time of the season now. Almost looks angry, to be honest. Not very good. He's sitting on the floor at the moment. So has he been substituted? Or is he just off getting treatment? Like, has the substitution been made? Because I know you guys said it was close to half time. So I'm wondering, are they just going to assess it? Or have they made that change already? He has been sub. Thank you. Okay. Thank you to everyone in the chat on that one. It's not great, is it? Why is it? It always seems to happen to us, doesn't it? You know? It's not great. Yeah, it's not great at all. But look, we'll try and keep up to date with it over the coming hours and of course day or two as well. When we get a bit more information on it. I mean, these just happen, so it's tough to gauge anything at this point, but when a player goes off substituted, yeah, look, it's not a good sign. He's on the verge of tears. I feel for a man. And do you know what gets me as well? In this moment, I'm thinking about that idiot, that Tarek guy, who said he doesn't care and he's the worst captain and he shows no emotion. Well, his dude's nearly in tears there, according to the chat. That's certainly a player who wants to represent his country. with passion in my eyes. Oh, God, I feel for him at this moment in time. Tough one. Don't really know what to say because we're all kind of disappointed for Mo at this point. He's frustrated, but he sat on the bench, not gone down the tunnel, said Whitehammer. Why did Fabio Carvalho fall out of favour at Liverpool? I mean, I don't know the answer, mate. I really don't. Now, maybe we can read something into what the Leipzig side said. So I'm paraphrasing this because I don't have the exact quote to hand. But basically, one of the guys from Leipzig said he didn't fancy the fight for his position. And he said he's a good player technically. He said he trained well. But he said when it came down to the battle for a starting jersey, he didn't seem to have that. And again, I am paraphrasing, fire in his belly. So I don't know if Jurgen seemed the same, but it all felt weird. The whole lot of it felt weird. The whole thing around Carvalho, because we signed him and then it never looked like we had a plan. I've seen a picture. I sent Ben a picture on Twitter showing Salah. So is anyone in our Discord group able to lash me in a picture into Discord? I'm sure if I go in there, there's probably one in there now. 1 second. There isn't at the minute. If anyone's in our Discord can lash in an image or anything, let me know. He's still a young guy. Oh, absolutely. And the vibe, especially, I think Fabrizio Romano said that Liverpool do have plans to keep going with Carvalho. So, let's wait and see. Excuse me. I know, for everyone coming in telling us about Salah being off injured, we've been talking about it, and like you all, we're a little bit shocked at the minute, a little bit worried, of course, because, you know, we all know the importance of Mo to our season, and of course to his goals as well, to lift more trophies with Liverpool. It's a tough one. Right, I'm in Discord at the minute, just waiting to see if there's a... 1 sec. You still haven't seen an image or anything in Discord yet. I'm flying through, so I'll leave that be for the while and come back to it. So, right, look, some news around transfers. We did the Henderson stuff. He's gone. 1 sec. McAllister we talked about earlier on. Divock Origi could be heading off to the MLS, so we've seen. How do you get into the Discord? You have to be an Ultra member. You have to be an Anfield Agenda Ultras member to get into the Discord, mate. That's one of the perks of that membership. We do it only for that one as well, because in the past we used to open it up to people who were gifted memberships, which will be the lower tier one. But we found that people came into the group and they're not being very nice, to be honest. So we leave it, because we find with the Ultra members, there are people who, you know, they're spending the money themselves, so they've a vested interest to be there. So they're usually not stirring trouble. And we don't want our Discord group to be wrecked, because our Discord group's a pretty awesome place. And it's a good mix in there, a good vibe of chat. Rachel, thank you for gifting a membership, my friend. Right, I'm going to do a poll, right? Because I feel like I haven't done a poll in a while. So this poll's going to be straightforward. Okay, 1 second. The poll simply asks the question, is there a chance we sign Mbappe? I want to gauge your feeling on this one, because I know it's very unrealistic on the face of it. But the more this drags on, I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit optimistic. Not likely, not expecting it, but I just can't get away from the fact that it's not being poo-pooed all over the place by journalists. Slim chance, but yes, a chance. Again, everybody coming in talking about Salah's injury. We are aware of it. Obviously, it's a moving thing. So, what would you like a picture of? Just his expression more than anything. Mo, when because someone said he looked very upset. Just his expression would really be what I'd like to see. What else? Can see it happen if Salah is sold. Look, I think for the conversation to become a realistic conversation, I feel like it would have to involve Mohamed Salah leaving the club. I mean, just because I don't think we could afford it if Mohamed Salah was still at the club. So yeah, for this conversation, I feel like if you're talking about it, then yes, there's going to involve some level of acceptance that maybe Mo might not be here. Liverpool must be attractive to anyone now. I agree, Ian, and that's why I'm kind of, I guess, trying to make this pitch to people. Like, sometimes I feel like people undervalue how big a club and a bigger... Oh, there's the picture of Salah. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, he looks serious is probably the word I'd use to describe him, his face. It is a good sign, I think, that he's not gone straight down the tunnel. That probably, to me, seems like a positive sign. But maybe I'm looking too much into that. I don't know. Because when I seen Van Dijk walk off after the challenge from Pickford that time when he did his ACL, I was unfortunately optimistic at that moment because I thought, oh, he's walking off the pitch. This might not be too bad. And then, of course, the news that we got confirmed at the time was anything but positive. Blur's Milk upgraded his membership to Anfield Agenda Ultras. Thank you, buddy. You should see the Discord link under the membership tab of the YouTube channel now. If it needs to be updated or anything, just let us know. Sometimes the links expire. Craig, you and Leo's Gold should do another collab. Yeah, look, I've said this before. Absolutely. I like Leo. Leo's a really positive guy and a lovely fella to chat with. So that's absolutely possible. 100%. Do you think Zubimendi would have been a good signing before he went to Real Madrid? Yes, I do. I would have preferred Camavinga over Zubimendi, but I think Arlian Zubimendi would have been a good piece of business as well, yes. Can we cry together, please? See, in these situations, I don't feel sad so much as angry. Not angry at anybody in particular, because look, it's nobody's fault that Mo has picked up an injury. It's certainly not Egypt's fault. It's not your fault. It's not Mo's fault. It ain't my fault. But I'm still frustrated by it, because you almost know, don't you? I think all fans of all clubs know that when players depart off for international tournaments, you're very lucky if one doesn't come back with an injury or something. So yeah, I can't say I'm not a little bit frustrated about that. Why did Salah get subbed off? Hamstring, Finley, by the sounds of it. The hamstring injury is the latest news we have, I guess. So, let's have a look at... Oh, do you know what? I'm loving the optimism in this poll, by the way. So far, and it's only 4 minutes in, and we've already had like 750 votes. We said, is there a chance we sign Mbappe? And so far, 67%, 62% of you absolute legends have boarded the Craig Houlden Mbappe Express. So I've just got one thing to say to you. Chew, MFers. I think, do you know what? As every day goes on, I'm becoming more deluded on this one. As in, my belief that it's possible grows. You know me, I like to join dots that sometimes aren't there, but I just keep coming back to the same question about keeping this conversation going for 5 or 6 years with the Mbappe family and, the respectful attitudes from both towards each other. I don't know. I just feel like... if John W. Henry pushes hard enough, there's a possibility of it. Your opinion on Jordan Henderson going to Ajax? So, I guess my opinion would be this, Katie. Taking aside the Saudi Arabia stuff, Ajax is a great club to have on your CV. And he signed what looks like a 2.5-year deal. So, from that regard, for him to hang up his boots in the future and say he played for Ajax, it's a pretty good thing to say. He's going to wear the number 6 there. You've already seen him in the Ajax shirt. Look, Ajax needs something. You know, they've had a pretty horrific season. And whether Jordan Henderson can make a difference in there or not, maybe. You know, the Eredivisie is certainly not at the same level as the Premier League, but it's certainly a level above the Saudi Pro League. So we'll have to wait and see how he gets on. But good move. I'd put it down as a good move for him. Yeah, I've not really got much else to add to it. I just don't think. I don't think it's a bad move for him. You know, he wants to come back to Europe. He came to an agreement with Al-Ettifaq to mutually rip up his contract, and Ajax have taken him on board. So I guess let's see what happens. What I don't, and I heard this spoken about last night as well on Sky, what I can't figure out is still how he thought it was going to work. Not the Ajax part, the move to Saudi. You know, people around him were apparently telling him of the pitfalls of the potential move. And I'll never understand how he thought it was a good idea. It felt weird, the whole lot of it. And I wonder, like, are we at a point now where we're already starting to see that project buckle a little bit? Because over the past week, we've seen a lot of reports that I've just got to close my Discord. Sorry, it's distracting me here. That the Saudi Pro League are changing their opinion and their way they're going to try and sign players. So there's been talk that they're going to go around Europe to try and get the best young talent. But I don't think that's a sustainable business model, because in order for the best young talents to realise their potential and become your Messis, your Ronaldos, your Haalands, your Mbappes, you got to have the exposure at the highest level. So young players going over to Saudi, even if they play very, very well, they're just not going to have that same exposure, and they're not going to be playing at the same level. So their development won't reach its potential. And if you do it the other way, and you do what China did apparently, or what the MLS initially did when they made their first error, was you get players at the tail end of their career who want a pension. So for any of these leagues, if they want to establish themselves in world football, I think looking at MLS is probably a pretty good example of persistence, tweaking things as you go along with the league, and making the right decisions at the right time on what type of figureheads to bring in to grow the presence of the league. But there's one other factor that is a reason why Europe and South America, I guess, are the hotbeds of football talent. And that's because of the climates and stuff, you know. Football in Europe is played in reasonable climates. Same in South America. Yes, it can be warm at time, but nowhere near the levels we're talking about in the desert. So I think if Saudi really want to work the Pro League, they have to build it from the ground up and not from the top down. You know, they need to invest in the lower leagues. They need to invest in the structure of the game in the country. They need to bring through more coaches. They need to bring through younger players. They need to be looking at it as a 15, 20-year project rather than just trying to get your Neymars and your Ronaldos in. That will work to some extent, and it will certainly bring eyes to the league. But here's what I don't know. Do you want the eyes of the world on the league when the league isn't what it needs to be yet? Is that going to be short-term thinking? So let's say you're not really... let's say you've watched Premier League football your entire life, and you said, I'm going to give the Saudi Pro League a chance. You know, I've seen some players go over there. It's interesting. And you look at it, and you see the level, and you don't like the level of it. You just think it's a little bit hit and miss. The level isn't where it needs to be. You're probably just going to bin that league off and think, well, that's not going to work. So I don't know if the strategy is the right one, but I guess time will tell. Football isn't one of these things that you can just throw money at, because you're getting the wrong type of people. You're getting mercenaries, not people who genuinely want to succeed as an athlete. And I think they've made a mistake going after football. Boxing, a lot easier to take over the big fights in boxing. It is just a matter of putting the money on the table and stuff like that. Golf, kind of a similar thing. But if you want to try and take over football and drag it away from Europe and South America, That's a big undertaking with a lot longer game than, as in the plan to try to do it with golf or WWE as an example, as entertainment purposes. You can do those things a lot easier. Grade 1, 10 days. Grade 2, 2 to 3 weeks. Grade 3, 1 to 3 months. Hamstring recovery time. Thoughts, Craig, taking into account their schedule and if Egypt are out, Liverpool impact. Well, my initial thoughts are you're hoping it's grade 1 or grade 2, Neville. 2 to 3 weeks we could cope with. Anything over that, if you're into the 2-3 months, then it becomes a big problem for us in the league because big games. Chelsea on the 31st, Arsenal on the 4th, Manchester City then coming up as well. So you're immediately thinking in your brain, what games could Mo miss here? And we don't want Mo missing the big games, do we? Because he's a big game player. Possibly Mo comes back next week if they lose today. He's also injured. Do you think maybe we sign players, our injuries are piling up? I don't think our injuries are piling up. I think the exact opposite, unless I'm looking at it all wrong. So the players who we've have injured, the only two that are realistic longer term problems could be Bajcetic and Matip. The rest I think are coming back or aren't too far away. So I don't think our injuries are piling up. Do I think this... I think it makes it harder for, if Mo's out for a couple of months now, for him to sit down with Rami Abbas and try to coax FSG into giving him an increase in wages or a new deal. Because I'm being honest here in what I say, so don't hate me for it, but if I'm FSG and I see a 32 or 31 heading for 32-year-old Mohamed Salah pick up a hamstring injury and maybe been out for 2 or 3 months, immediately my brain's thinking, is this going to be the start of his body starting to realise that nobody is beating Father Time and that these things could start to add up a bit? I don't know, but it's not going to help. I know it's definitely not going to make it more likely that FSG go against their regular policy of contracts for players over the age of 30, 31, giving them extensions, I mean. I don't know. It's all messy, the whole thing. Would you sign Antonio Silva from Benfica? I do like him as a player. I think the question there would more be, do we need to spend €100 million on the centre-back? And I don't think we do, in all honesty. I think we need somebody... I like the Itakura link, because it makes sense to me. You're replacing Joel Matip in the squad and bringing in a 26-year-old Japanese international for 12 or 13 million quid in the summer when his release clause comes into effect. That's very sensible business to me. Because Kanade, Van Dijk and Kwanzaa are probably going to be the three mainstays. Then you've got Gomez in and around as well, of course. So I don't think we need to drop that much money. We need to replace Matip, and doing that with a 13 million 26-year-old, that makes sense. How much do you think it would cost if we were to sign Mbappe? In what sense? Overall? I would imagine you're probably talking about 60 to 80 million of a signing on fee. Probably a minimum after tax of 550 to 600 grand after tax. And then a bonus structure, image right concessions. Maybe, like I said the other day, maybe they look at it that they give him a little taste of a potential franchise that they might buy in the NBA down the line, because you've got that connection obviously with Mbappe, with LeBron, Mbappe being a huge basketball fan. You know, that would be, certainly if I was FSG, something I'd be thinking about, bringing him as part of an ownership group, because, you know, footballers need to look at life after football as well. And honestly, I feel like we're better placed than Madrid in some aspects. So Madrid have some things going for them, of course. They're a glamorous club. They're a prestigious club. They win trophies a lot. It's a great place to go as a platform to win a Ballon d'Or or a Champions League. But outside of that, I don't know what opportunities Florentino Perez could perhaps promise. But if you look at FSG, this is where their tentacles, if you want to use, and their investment in lots of sports and businesses and leagues might actually benefit us, because it gives us if you look at it holistically, it gives us more options. And I know we touch on the Nike stuff as well, and I just can't fathom, if you're Nike, how you would not try to not have him playing an Adidas shirt every week. Like, I know it's been done loads, and I know, but still, he's wearing Nike gear at the minute with PSG. He wears it with France. If I'm Nike, I want them wearing it somewhere else rather than putting on a white Adidas shirt every week. So there are these things that, when you put them all together and talk about, we are an attractive proposition. And we haven't even looked from the footballing side, where, we've had a season out of the Champions League. We can't get away from that. But we're shown straight away that it was a blip of a season, and that we're looking to get right back in it and right back to challenge in the Premier League. We have changed our midfield. We've brought in some youth there and some potential big players. We have a manager who's been here for a long time, who's consistently delivering. We've got a great fan base. We've got an iconic stadium that's loved and known around the world for being one of the greatest theatres to play football in. We've got owners who have their fingers in lots of pies and a good reach, and a manager that you would crawl over broken glass to come and play for. Now, some of those things apply to Madrid as well, of course. They have a great manager in Carlo Ancelotti. Certainly he can achieve his footballing goals with Madrid if it's a Ballon d'Or or a Champions League. But basically, I feel like, in a weird way, I occasionally have to defend the size of Liverpool Football Club to our own fans, which feels weird, because sometimes we forget how big a club Liverpool is and how big an institution it is in sport. And to put on the Liverpool jersey, it's not an easy thing. Very few people get the experience playing for Liverpool Football Club. So, yeah, look, I think we're a catch, for want of a better phrase. Have you seen Mbappe said he loves Liverpool and is signing for us next week, and then he went on to say Real Madrid or shit? Yeah, I wish I'd seen that, mate. If only. Imagine that came out. Oh my God. Imagine the internet would explode. So, let me ask you guys a question. Would you prefer Mbappe stayed at PSG or went to Real Madrid? It's got to be stay at PSG. Because if he goes to Real Madrid, that team looks ridiculous. It looks scary ridiculous, like. Sorry, I was just sent something on WhatsApp. I was just looking at it. So yeah, stay definitely. But if he stays at PSG, is it almost an admittance that he's not going to achieve what he's capable of achieving in world football? Because look, he's won the World Cup with that great French team. But if he stays at PSG, he's probably admitting he's never getting his hands on the Champions League, at least while he's there. So it feels like that would just be a money grab. I'm very intrigued by this, and I'm not usually on the side of big earners in these conversations, but I do respect massively the way Mbappe has dealt with this situation. People are talking about him having an ego or being a diva or whatever. The man has absolutely had Real Madrid on strings. And he has put himself in a position now where he quite literally has the pick of any football club on the planet that he wants to come and play for, knowing that if he wanted to, he could just do it for the footballing project, and the money is not even a necessity from at this point. That's impressive. whatever else you think, that's impressive. There aren't many people that get to decide their own destiny like that and hold their ground with PSG and their owners and have Madrid on strings. That you got, whatever you think about the dude, that's impressive. Real going to get either Mbappe or Haaland. It's going to be strong either way. The God's honest answer for that, mate, to me is Haaland's the better fit. It's not even, it's a no-brainer for me that Haaland's a better fit for this Madrid team. Because that's what they need right now. They need a central striker. They need to replace those Benzema goals. You've got Vini, you've got Rodrigo, you've got Bellingham, you've got Valverde. You've got enough players that can play in wide positions. I would say now, Haaland. Especially if you look at the numbers involved. Yes, Haaland has a buyout clause, but outside of that, big picture 5-6 year contract stuff, signing on bonuses and whatever, it's probably not going to be too much different financially. So, yeah. And also, I would love to see Madrid come in and shithouse Pep and City and take Haaland. I would very much enjoy that. Just keep signing a new 1 year deal with PSG until PSG stop increasing his wages. It feels like they, yeah. Imagine what it's like for him going, here, I imagine it goes something like this. Watch this, Mum. Watch. No, I'm leaving. I'm definitely leaving. No, I'm leaving. Put him on speakerphone. 100 million a year. No, I've told you I'm leaving. 120 million a year. Is that after tax? Because I'm still leaving. Yeah, that's after tax. Let me think about it. Boop. That's, do you know what I mean? That's the power the guy has in this whole conversation. Haaland ain't leaving City. Absolutely he would. He'd leave City in a heartbeat. Don't believe for 1 second that Erling Haaland really gives a damn about Manchester City. I know there's the father connection and all that crap. But ultimately it's a stepping stone for him. It is. And I don't think he stays at City very long at all. And the fact that there's a buyout clause in his contract, that told me everything I needed to know when he signed it. Because if he was really loyal and wanted to stay at City, that buyout clause wouldn't exist in his contract. But it's there for a reason. And that reason is Real Madrid. So if they trigger it and pay the, I think, 150 mil, then if he wants to go, there's not all that much that Manchester City can do. But and also, let's not forget the fact that Manchester City eventually will have to, answer their case. And actually on that, I do have some stuff I meant to talk about yesterday. Who sent this to me? Yeah, one sec. I've something on my phone that I want to go through with you guys. It's going to be in my deleted. 1 second. Where is it? That one. Sorry, I know this is make for attractive viewing. I'm just trying to find this list that was sent. Someone sent me a list that I wanted to read out, but I've seemingly deleted. Where is it? Someone sent me a list of the charges for Manchester City and exactly what they were, and I think I've deleted it, which is bad on me. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. I have it now, sorry. So, here's a breakdown of all the charges laid against Manchester City and how many of the alleged breaches are within each charge. So, failure to provide accurate and up-to-date financial information from 2009, 2010, up to and including 2017, 2018, 54 alleged breaches. Failure to cooperate with Premier League investigations from 2018 up until present, 35 alleged breaches. Now listen to that second one. Just hear me out. We constantly hear from the Manchester City deluded fans and Pep Guardiola and everybody else that they want this to be dealt with quickly, that they want it to be sorted and over with. And Pep has come out and said, we want it to be dealt with quickly. Okay, then why is there 35 charges saying you failed to cooperate with the Premier League's investigation? That doesn't scream, we want it sorted quickly to me. Next one up. Failure to cooperate with Premier League investigations. We've done that one. Failure to provide accurate financial reports for player and manager compensation from 2009, 2010 up to and including 2017, 2018. 14 alleged breaches. So not opening up the books or hindering the investigation, not giving accurate financial information, and being a bit iffy about how you pay your managers and stuff. Definitely nothing to see here. Next up, breaches of Premier League profitability and sustainability regulations from 15-16 to 17-18. 7 alleged breaches there. And failure to comply with UEFA's regulations, including UEFA's club licensing and financial fair play regulations. 5 breaches. So, again, everything they say about wanting it done quickly is crap. Because they're doing everything to make it as difficult as possible for this charge or these charges to be answered. So I read something last night that I had to bring up to you guys today. So you've seen me read through the list, and I've told you the falsehoods that have come out from City fans and their manager. You see, I think it was John Adams who said, facts are stubborn things. And they are. Because you can say what you believe to be true internally. You can talk about what you hope to be true, but ultimately facts are facts, and facts are stubborn because you can't change them. And those, my friends, are the facts laid before us. They are the charges that City have to answer. So, let's see what happens. Heard Exeter City's interested in Nat Phillips. I think, surely Nat Phillips is a higher level than that. You know, I feel Nat Phillips could do a job lower end Prem, higher end Championship. Yeah, so I think he could do a little bit better than Exeter, if I'm being really honest. I don't know if it's true, but my mates told me apparently the Egypt staff said it's not serious and they will try to get Mo back for the next game. I have no idea, mate. I hope that's... Well, do I hope it's true? Well, actually, no, I don't. Because whatever he felt, and it was enough to take him off, I'm not very confident that putting him back for the next game is anything other than short-term thinking from Egypt. And is that really beneficial to him? Because remember, he was rushed back for a World Cup or an AFCON or some tournament a few years back, and it was an absolute mess, and he was never right for the whole season afterwards. So I don't want him rushed back just because they're in a shitty position in the tournament. Craig, I think he just doesn't want to risk it. Absolutely. But you need to listen to your body in that scenario, and Mo knows his body clearly. So look, I'm not. It's tough at the minute. We're all second guessing. We don't really know what's happening. All we know for a fact is that he went off because he felt something, and he was substituted. After that, I guess we have to wait and see how it pans out. It was World Cup 2018, Craig, in which he was rushed back. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, and he wasn't right for us that whole season. Like, we didn't see the same Mohamed Salah. I remember Verge refusing to play in the Euros because of his recovery from Pickford's tackle. Yeah. And look, players know their own bodies. And Mohamed Salah has been around the game long enough now that, you know, he'll know. He'll know whether he can push himself, or he'll know if he's going to do himself longer term damage. And we're going to just have to wait and see how it pans out, in all honesty. We're just guessing at the minute. Are Arsenal getting Benzema? What's all this? I don't know. So, there's loads of talk going on about Saudi at the minute. There's been some talk about Benzema maybe leaving. I don't know if any of that's true. We've seen the stuff about Neymar. There was stuff going around saying that his Al Hilal contract is being ripped up, and then that changed as well. Fabrizio Romano put out a post that said Al Hilal have not terminated Neymar's contract. Reports are being denied by sources as fake news. Al Hilal will just make space in the squad list for Renan Lodi as a foreign player, as Neymar is injured and won't play again this season. Then he's set to return to the squad. So it looks like they're just pulling Neymar off the squad list to free up that place for Renan Lodi because, Neymar's out for the year with his injury. That makes sense if that's the case. Then you've got the stuff about Benzema. Did you see Benzema suing one of the French interior ministers or something like this for saying that he was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood or something like that? I don't really understand it, to be honest with you, but I seen something about it yesterday. And everybody has the right to defend their good name. Who cares what Arsenal are getting 1 win in 7? I love that. Malcolm. Is that true, by the way? Is there any real links to Arsenal with Benzema? That would be nuts. My friend said Benzema might go to Chelsea. Now, you see, that I could see happening. Arsenal, I don't know if Mikel Arteta would think that short term about stuff, but I could absolutely see Todd Bowley putting a big chunk of cash on the table for Benzema. That feels like a very Chelsea type of thing to do. Do you think we sign anyone in this transfer window? Said Siki. The honest answer, mate, is I don't think there's a plan to, but we also won't rule it out because sometimes at the end of the window, opportunities come up. And the best example I can give you is the Diaz one. We had no intention of signing him from Porto until the summer, but Spurs were sniffing around and trying to get a deal done, so Liverpool had to act quickly, and they went and got Lucho signed up, and he's a Liverpool player. So if something like that happens to a player that Klopp wants on his list, maybe. Or if a club changes their mind, or a player, let's say, wants to increase their chances of playing in the Euros or something if they're not getting a look in at their current team for whatever reason, like Gravenberch at Bayern, then maybe there's an opportunity there. You've seen Werner go to Spurs because he wants to be in the German team for the Euros and he wants to get more game time, so he thinks he can do that at Spurs. These things can sometimes become a factor as well as the window gets closer to closing. How much money is Salah worth in your opinion? I love that you know me too well there, Castle. Lash the burger and fries emoji, and it works. Do you know what I mean? It works. So much is he worth? Okay, so there's two answers to your question. How much is he worth and how much is he worth to Saudi? Any other club in Europe comes in to buy Mohamed Salah, what's his value? Probably a little bit above what Harry Kane went to Bayern Munich for. About 90 to 110 million pound probably is his value. Maybe a slight bit less, but in and around that I feel is because you've got to remember he's got 1 year to go. What's his value to Saudi? Well, you're probably going to ask for a premium because it's Saudi. I don't think we'll get near 150 million. I don't think those numbers will come in. I'd say 120. I feel like his value is somewhere about 85 to 90 million pound with 1 year to go. But I think it'll be higher to Saudi. That's my best guess. More chance of Stevie Wonder passing an eye test and them getting Vidi. Oh, United. Oh, yeah, Ben messaged me about that earlier on. Or was it yesterday? Please keep believing that, United fans. Because you thinking you're getting Vinicius Jr. is 10 times more deluded than me saying we might get Kylian Mbappe. And that is deluded from me. I'm admitting I'm delusional. But that's next level delusional. What about Vini Jr. makes you feel that he's going to give up playing in La Liga with Real Madrid at the pinnacle of world football to go and, I don't know, compete with Marcus Rashford for the affections of the United fans? Not going to happen. Goal Egypt, 1-1 in that game. Thank you for the updates. What happened to Neymar? I think it's his ACL. If my memory's right, Neymar did his ACL ages ago, and I think Al Hilal are just trying to free up a squad place for a foreign player, which makes sense. Absolutely makes sense if they want to bring somebody in and they can't register them because Neymar has a squad place and he's not going to be back this season. It makes absolute sense to just make a short-term change there. To play in the leaky Old Trafford Stadium. And also, did you guys see, I really want some more information on this, by the way, if you have it to hand. I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. I'm sure there was a headline in one of the newspapers that said that the Glazers can force Jim Ratcliffe out in 2025. Now, I don't know the context of this, and I don't know the information behind it. But can you imagine that happening? Imagine United fans finally thought they had a chunk of light with Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming inside, and then all of a sudden the Glazers in 2025 buy him back out and say, bye. Oh, the Norwich scarves will be out in a heartbeat. I feel Salah is too self-entitled for Liverpool. I mean, I don't... I'm trying to process my answer because I know what you're trying to get at, and I'm trying to give you an answer that's not going to get me cancelled. So, there have been occasions in Mo's time at Liverpool where I felt like brand Salah has overshadowed Liverpool at times. Whether that's through me reading the situation incorrectly, but one thing I have not enjoyed about Mohamed Salah at Liverpool is the constant speculation, the constant murmurings about a new deal or moving on or being unhappy or not getting on with a player. But balancing all that up, the man's delivered consistently, season after season. So I certainly don't feel he's self-entitled at all. He feels like, it seems like a very genuine man. And sometimes, I guess, when you're that big of a superstar, you have to have certain traits that are maybe perceived as selfish, because you don't make the sacrifices that this man has made in his life, from getting, buses for hours and hours to be able to play football and train. And you don't have that determination and focus to not make it at Chelsea at that point and go back over to Italy and rebuild yourself with Roma and Fiorentina, come back to the Premier League and light it up at Liverpool and win a European Cup and win a Premier League title. You don't score the goals that he has. You don't look after yourself the way you do, unless you've got somewhat of a selfish trait. So it's not always a bad thing for people to have these things, but the best way I can describe it is, there's no part of me that believes Mohamed Salah is a disruptive influence in the dressing room or his ego gets in the way. Not 1 ounce of me thinks that that's the case. I think everything I've ever seen from the behind the scenes stuff and stuff that we all see, he looks like he fits in. He looks like he's enjoying it. He looks like he has a laugh with the boys. So yeah, I don't feel like that's fair to say that he's self-entitled. I don't think we should sign Mbappe. He'll want high wages. We can get a little less quality but way cheaper wages like Saka. So, just forgive me for laughing, but I'm supposed to take that seriously, am I? Billy, that is a little less. So Saka to Mbappe is a little drop off. It's a long way from Mbappe. And I can't actually believe I'm about to say this either, but I think signing Mbappe is more realistic than signing Saka. That's honest. I'm being honest. I think it's more realistic to sign him than Saka. Uh, I think Salah somehow focused on Liverpool, otherwise he continued the game. I don't know. I have no idea because I haven't seen any of it, so I don't know what to make from the whole thing. Top two summer signings. I don't. It's hard to know because I don't know if Salah's going to be here or not in the summer. So I'll give you two answers. One with Salah, staying at the club, one without Salah. So top two summer signings. A centre back, and if you want me to push for a name, Levi Colwill. And then Michael Elise. Those two, regardless of what happens, I would like Liverpool to sign. If we lost Mo, and I'm assuming we don't get Mbappe at that point, so if we lost Mo, I think I'd still look at Elise, but I might look at another central striker to, make use of the money. So I think Elise either way and a centre back either way, but maybe you look at how we set up if Mo moves, because do we move Diaz to the right and put Darwin on the left and then maybe look for someone central? It's tough. But I think centre back has to happen. No matter what, we'll see that happen in the summer. And full back, I guess that might come down to how Bradley finishes the season. Elise picks up a lot of little knocks. Yeah, it's certainly a concern, Ibrahim. And we mentioned this on streams the other day. He's gone through a sticky point, all right, at the minute, where he's had a few muscle injuries with Crystal Palace. But knowing that release clause or that buyout clause is there and it's thought to be about £60 million, that's attractive. That is attractive. With what you see, like, if I'm supposed to believe that Douglas Luiz is a £100 million footballer or Jared Bowen's a £100 million footballer, then Michael Elise at £60 million seems like an absolute bargain. So, feels fair. What about Pedro Neto? Again, you've got a similar concern about injuries. I've always liked Pedro Neto. There's something about that kid that, he does feel like he's got that spark, that fire in his belly. He's a fighter. I like that about him. He's a very talented player. But you got to be concerned about injuries as well with Pedro Neto, based off what we've seen in the last year or two. Salah was in tears going off. Yeah, it's the news I didn't want to hear at the start of the stream, mate, to be honest with you, that, Mo had just gone off injured. It's like nightmare stuff, but I'm trying not to stress out about it too much yet, because we just don't know the length of time or the severity of a potential injury for him. So we have to wait and see what the Egyptian medical team say. Don't lie, Craig. We all got a feeling we're getting Mbappe. We just don't want our hearts to get broken. Yes, Casper. You're right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. You're right. There is a part of me inside that thinks there's a chance, and you're absolutely right about not wanting the heart to be broken. And yep, it's a fair shout, mate. It's a fair cop, and I think. I like to think we're all that way. So let's look back to the poll that we put up 45 minutes ago. And this poll has had a load of votes. And I'm going to keep it up for the end of the show because I'd like to get a bigger sample size as possible. But we did ask, is there a chance that we sign Mbappe? And so far, with 2,250 votes, 62% said yes to 38% saying no. So it feels like what you've said, Casper, is what we're feeling inside, all of us. There's just a couple of things about it, right? So the no poo-pooing of it by the journos, the easy links to make with LeBron and Nike and FSG and the NBA franchise down the line, and ways to be creative about it. The fact that there's no transfer fee in itself involved. I think we'd be idiots not to think that there's a world where it could happen. We couldn't get Bellingham, no chance on Mbappe. So I would again push back and say I don't think it's that we couldn't get Bellingham. I think it's that we just didn't push hard enough for Bellingham and we didn't follow through. But there's I just get a feeling that there's something about Mbappe that really appeals to John W. Henry. I can't figure out for the life of me why you would keep that. Look, you'd never close off a channel of communication with anyone in life. It's best not to burn bridges. As a man who's burnt a lot of bridges, I've learned as I've gotten older, it's definitely better not to burn those bridges. But again, brought him on his plane, kept in contact. There's a reason why your name is mentioned here. Because if you were just mentioning him for clicks, you'd link him to United. If you were a journal or whatever and you just wanted to mention him for clicks, you just link him to United and you get your clicks. But the fact that it's consistently coming out of France as well with La Parisienne or what was the other one? The other big magazine there, Get French Football News and a few others, that Liverpool are at the table or Liverpool are a genuine option for the kids. Let's wait and see. Anfield Agenda, he's met with John before. Oh, I know, Finley, I know. John brought him on his private plane before he signed for PSG, trying to convince him to join Liverpool over Monaco. And if he did that when there was a big transfer fee involved, why am I to believe now that when there's no transfer fee involved, albeit still a very substantial amount of money that would need to be put aside, why am I supposed to believe that he's not interested now? Because even if we got Mbappe and he played for 3 years at Liverpool, you're still going to receive a big selling fee when you sell him. What do you think of Zubimendi to fix the CDM problem? He's a name that I liked when I'd seen us linked to. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. We were linked with him and Mikel Merino, both from Sociedad. And I don't know too much about Merino, so I can't really answer too much on him. But when I'd seen Zubimendi, I immediately felt it was a nice link. But I don't know if there's nothing to it. But he's a good player. And Sociedad have got some good players there at the minute. I'm sure there's a few that you guys would like from Sociedad as well. City is innocent. Yeah, of course they are, mate. Absolutely. Nothing to see here. Spot on. City are brilliant. They're actually they're my role models personally. You know, I look at the way City operate and I think to myself, if I can run Anfield Agenda in that way, you know, they're an inspiration to me, quite frankly, mate. You know, I look at the honourable way that they conduct themselves and the fact that they're very, you know, transparent with the numbers and, you know, the biggest followed club in the world, apparently on social media, are one of them now, and forever selling out the Etihad and taking those legions of fans with them around Europe as they go to play. Yeah, big fan me, big fan. I have a feeling there'll be 2 French players in the Liverpool squad soon, said Laser Sharp. Okie dokie. I hope one of them's name is Kylian. There's a documentary about Haaland in Norway where his father said Haaland wanted to play in all the top leagues and he probably will only stay 2 or 3 years. I know. Sorry, I don't know about that documentary, Marcus. Sorry, I don't mean that. I mean, that makes absolute sense to me. He's won the European Cup already now in the Premier League, so, you know, if he moves on, you look back at his career and if he goes to Real Madrid, he'll go, you know, did it? Somewhat did it in Germany, although didn't deliver the title. Delivered it with Manchester City, although, you know, exclamation point. And then go off to Real Madrid while Manchester City get relegated down to League One. Sounds like a plan. Craig, if we could somehow land Mbappe, do you think we will keep Salah? I mean, look, do I want us to keep Salah in that regard? Yes. Imagine Darwin, Mbappe and Salah as your front 3 against, it doesn't matter. Pick a team, doesn't matter. Imagine those 3 boys lining up as your attacking trio. I mean, best of luck defending against them. So But do I think it's possible? No, I don't. I don't know how you make the numbers add up. Would Mbappe get us 30 plus goals a season? Yes, I think he would. Because all we can do is take the sample size of what he does at the minute, right? And I know that he's doing it with PSG in a league that's probably easier to score in. But look at him at a World Cup at the highest level. I think, yes, he would deliver in that regard. Yeah, I do. Craig, John is a good owner. Remember where he bought us from. So, let me just say this. There are aspects of FSG that I think are pretty cool and that I'm alright with. And there are certain things that they have done that have somewhat redeemed some of the stupidity that we've seen from them. And you've probably noticed my stance has softened somewhat on the owners. But no matter what happens, I can't personally get past the fact that they hoodwinked everyone. And they weren't on their own, but they signed us up to a project without any consultation that would have removed our heritage. And to do that without any consultation of stakeholders, manager, players, fans, I can never forgive that. I can't. No matter what else they do, and I certainly will credit them for the good stuff as I've tried to do, I can't get past that. Because that was so duplicitous. Yeah, so I can't. I'll never ever get over that. Thought losing Thiago's wages off the books would be a big part of paying Mbappe, possibly a third of his wages. I'm glad you're starting to think sensibly like that. Yes. Removing Thiago off the wage books at the end of the season is going to save Liverpool in excess of 10 million quid a year. Thiago's a high earner at the club at about 200 grand a week. So was Jordan Henderson, by the way. Jordan Henderson, being the club captain, was on a pretty good wage as well. So Liverpool have removed quite a bit off the wage books. Now, Mohamed Salah's got a new deal, deserved a new deal, and his wages have gone up. Verge and Trent are going to sign new deals, and their wages will go up. But yeah, look, it certainly gives you more wiggle room, right? And I'm sure there are probably going to be one or two more. So yeah, we've replaced some of the higher earners with some younger, hungrier players who have to earn the big money. One thing I'll always give FSG credit on is the way that they've incentivized contracts. I hate anybody coming into a football club that immediately gets given top whack unless they've proved it elsewhere. But to see the fact that they bring in players and they do reward them. They say to these guys, come in, show us what you can do, deliver. Your contract is incentivized. The better you do, the more you score, the more you get paid. And then if you prove it over a 2-3 year period, to be fair to FSG, they've genuinely compensated the guys quite well. So for that regard, very clever. I like the policy they brought in with the younger players and, making sure that they don't get overpaid too young. I'm really grateful for the new training ground that Jurgen Klopp wanted. I'm really grateful for the main stand on the Annie Road end. But also at the same time, there is another part of me that knows it's the cheaper option over building a new stadium. But doesn't matter. Doesn't make it wrong. The work they've done around Anfield is night and day from when I first started going to Anfield. It's incredibly more vibrant. They gave us Jurgen Klopp, which again is a fantastic thing. But I'm being a bit selfish when I say this, right? They don't care. And that hurts. Now, maybe you say, Craig, they don't care, but they make the right business decisions. And that's a fair point. When in business, I guess, sometimes you remove the emotion from a decision. But I tell you what, I'd love an owner who's there every week and celebrating and showing emotion. I'd love that. I would. I'd love that. And that's the part of it as well that just feels a little bit sterile with FSG. The fact that they're very rarely over. Craig, add by Chechic to us. I'm ready to challenge for the title. Oh, look, I can't wait for Stefan to be back. Buzzing for Stefan to be back. I hope you're well, mate. I'm on the choo-choo. Train for Mbappe. Good. I like Tony Bloom, an actual fan. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not even just, like, ideally you'd want him to be a fan, yeah. But I'm open to somebody buying the club who's certainly not necessarily a lifelong hardcore fan, but just gives a damn and shows up. City are 100% betting on Bournemouth to get ahead of us and being a typical banana skin for us, so we have to be laser focused. It's going to be a tough game. I mean, Cara said that as well, I think, this week. I'm not expecting a gimme at all going to the Vitality. We're going to have to be on point to beat Bournemouth. So yes, it is a potential banana skin game, but we've got to go out there and show that, you know, we can get through it like we have in other games. And we've got to make sure that we keep reminding people that, you know, we're here to win the league. And I don't care how we get over the line against Bournemouth, as long as we leave there with 3 points. Then we look ahead to the League Cup, and we know that if we don't concede in 90 minutes against Fulham, we're in the final. And that's certainly, if I'm Jurgen Klopp, how I'd be pitching it to the lads. Go out there and play the game, play to win. But remember, if we don't concede, you're in the final. I'd say, certainly if I was Klopp, I'd be saying, go out there and score me the first goal. Go over, make sure you put that goal in early doors and watch those Fulham fans and the Fulham players deflate a little bit. And then do your thing, manage the game. No stupid chances, no risks taken. Just score that first goal, and then I think you've 1 foot in the final. Craig, you're a hypo. Do you want me to say the word hypocrite for you? Because apparently you can't write it. Because you take oil money, but it's bad for others. And at what point have I spoke about taking oil money, dickhead? Do you know me, motherfucker? Have we ever had a conversation? I'm a hypocrite for many reasons. I am. But the oil money? Bit of a random comment, dude. We don't even know what you're talking about here. What oil money am I taking? And you mean me personally? Fucking right, I would. I have a family to look after. I take that oil money in a heartbeat. But I don't know what you're talking about. If you're calling me a hypocrite because of the Henderson stuff, well, I didn't profess to be one thing, did I? I didn't, profess to be an ally for a certain group of people and then throw them under a bus. Weird. I don't know. I don't know why you guys, I'm in some people's heads so much, but just remember this the next time you want to come in and call me whatever. I don't know who the fuck you are. When's the preview out? I'm recording it tomorrow, mate, and it's going to go out on Saturday because I'm going to take the day off on Saturday because this is, weirdly, when we're not playing on a Saturday, it's a quiet day on the channel. So if we're playing the Saturday, the Sundays tend to be a quiet day. If we play on the Sundays, the Saturdays tend to be a quiet day. So, yeah, it'll be recorded tomorrow. I've already sent it to Connor, my team selection, score predictions and stuff, and I'll be recording it tomorrow evening to go out on Saturday morning. Some people need to keep their trap shut, said Christian Pavard. I get... How do I say this? People think they're more clever than they are, Christian. And what these people forget a lot of the time is that I could buy and sell them in a heartbeat. And it's people thinking they know me when they've never spoke to me that make me laugh. You know what I let you know. You know enough about me that I want you to know. But you don't know the inner workings of my brain, what makes me tick, what drives me. So to call me a hypocrite, I am a hypocrite. Of course I am, but not for that reason. I'm a hypocrite because I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm a hypocrite. and that I'll say things and change my mind, and I'll say things, and I'll tell you I'll give you a good example of why we're all hypocrites, right? Just before we finish this section and move on to another one. One of the reasons we're all hypocrites is how we view a situation depends on whether we like the person involved in it or not. So at some points in our life, we'll all have people who do something that we'll try to justify because we like them. But if it was somebody we didn't know or didn't like that did it, we'd have a very different outlook on the situation. But the difference between myself and some other people is I'm aware of my flaws. And I'm not embarrassed by them. And I'm not scared of them. I try to better myself and learn. But I'm aware. So don't ever try to outwit me, because it ain't going to happen. Cody, thank you, my man, for gifting a membership. Very kind of you. Craig, people are allowed to change their mind. I know, and the funny thing is again about that, if you didn't change your mind on something as it evolved, then you've got an agenda. Like, football fandom is hilarious. You said this, Craig, or not even me, any of you in the chat. Let's pick someone. Ibrahim, you said this 2 weeks ago, but now you're saying something different. Well, yeah, because somebody's gotten better, Craig, or somebody's, done something to change my opinion. But that's not allowed, Ibrahim. You're not allowed to have a different opinion, mate. You're only allowed to live in this one box that I've made for you that you had that one opinion of, and that's all you're ever allowed to be. Now, you are typecast forever, dude. It is mad, isn't it? Like, some people just don't use the old noggin too much. Naman, thank you, bud, for gifting a membership. Opinions on Everton and Forest charges. So it's difficult to talk about them because in one sense I do have sympathy, particularly for Everton. A good lot of sympathy, to be honest with you. But in the other regard, like, if somebody's done something wrong, they've done something wrong. Now, the fact that Everton have put their hands up, sorry, let me just get rid of somebody out of the chat. The fact that they put their hands up and said, look, okay, maybe we've done something wrong here. You want to show leniency to that. And it would feel very, very difficult if Everton got punished twice in one season. That for me would feel like you're sticking the knife in and you're almost relegating them. So in one sense I've sympathy, but in another sense I hope it's the start of these regulations actually bearing some fruit. And whilst now we're seeing the easier cases being brought to light, I hope it changes football and the Premier League for the better, because nobody wants a club to go under. Nobody wants fans to lose a football club or a football club to go out of business. So making it sustainable is important. Someone tell me to stop yapping in the chat. Oh, dude, stop. If I stop yapping, it's going to be a very boring show, dude. Craig, keep it 100. You know, deep down, United is the biggest club in the Prem. They're the biggest in regards to following, yes. I've never said otherwise, mate. This is weird again. Like, I've often said Real Madrid, Manchester United are probably the two biggest clubs in the world. I don't put up an argument against that. So you've said me keep it real. Now let me with you. Keep it real, my friend. United forever. Liverpool are the most successful club in England. You know, you have to admit that because it's a fact. As much as I'll admit what you've said, which is correct, I do think Manchester United and Real Madrid are the two biggest clubs in the world. I think that's fair. But Liverpool are the most successful club in English football. And that, my friends, is also a fact. How long is Salah out for? I don't think any of us can know that answer yet. Nor do I want to give anybody a false answer. So, I don't know. Right, I want to read this stuff about... Mark has very kindly sent me a link to that story I was talking about the Glazers. So, this was on Sport Bible. It said, Sir Jim Ratcliffe could be forced out of Manchester United in 2025. On Christmas Eve, United announced that petrochemicals billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe had agreed to buy 25% stake in United for around $1.3 billion, or just over £1 billion. The British business mogul's Ineos Group will take control of football operations once the deal is ratified by the Premier League in 6 to 8 weeks, and it will provide $300 million, or about £236 million, for future investment at Old Trafford. It goes on to say on Boxing Day, the Ineos director of sport, Dave Brailsford, was in attendance to watch United's game. I'm just going to get to the crux of this article for you. However, as per the Telegraph, Ratcliffe will have the first refusal for a period of 12 months should the Glazers opt to sell their B shares, which have 10 times the voting rights of Class A shares. The Americans could compel the Ineos chairman to agree to an outright sale down the line. Drag-along rights included in the deal mean Ratcliffe could be forced to sell his shares if he receives a $33 or £26 per share cash offer from the Glazers should United's majority owners opt for a full sale in 18 months. So that's where we are with that. I knew I'd seen something about it the other day, but I didn't know the details of it. My boyfriend has just come out of his den and said about Mo didn't look too bad. Well, I hope it's not too bad. 7-0 in 2024. Oh yes, bitch. Oh yes. You're going to get 7-0 forever. Like, there is no getting away from 7-0, dude. I will be on my deathbed and you could be standing over me. And my family could be in tears. The priest could be giving me my last rites. I could be just about to take that last breath on this mortal realm. And I will turn around to you, wink and say 7-0, motherfucker, as I take that last breath and die. You're going to live with that forever. It's never going away, bud. Ever. Never. Doesn't matter what you win, what you lose. That else happens over the next 500 years. 7-0 is enshrined forever as the whooping of a century. Yeah, it's never going away, my man. Never. Do you think you'll reach 1 million subscribers by the end of 2025? I've never, ever, ever believed I'll hit 1 million subscribers, mate. It's not something I've entertained in my brain. Now, I want to hit 250,000, and that's achievable because we're only about 12,100 or so away. So my goal there is to try and do it before Boston. But nah, look, I don't know if we'll ever get 1 million subscribers, mate. I don't know if it's possible for a Liverpool account to get to 1 million subscribers. But if somebody can do it, I hope it's us. Don't forget, though, Clips channel. That has been repurposed over the past couple of weeks. We got some good news on it today in that it got monetized, so that's good for us. But yes, do check out the Clips channel. And also, don't forget, the Boston show. Tickets are on sale on Ticketmaster if you are in Boston or that part of America and you're free on March 22nd and you'd like to come and say hello and see us. We are doing a live show in Boston at the House of Blues in the Foundation Room at that venue, and tickets are on sale on Ticketmaster right now. Any news of the City hearing? Other than what we mentioned yesterday, Ibrahim, that Richard Masters has said that a date has been set for it, but he just wasn't forthcoming with when that date was. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't know, man. I don't know where we're at with that one. Is there new Mbappe news? Nothing breaking, mate. No, like we were touching tonight, we discussed about the LeBron James conversations and Mbappe talking about the fact that he looks to LeBron for advice on, you know, bigger picture stuff, on his charity stuff and other interests really for the longer term, and that he views him as an inspiration and what he's achieved outside of NBA as well as within it. And, you know, we hope that obviously LeBron might have had a little word in his ear to go, if you're leaving PSG, dude, you know, rock up to Liverpool. Guess what position Man United are? 7th. I still can't get over those odds, by the way, for United to finish top 4 at 13-1. That seems mad. Right, before we finish up, I wanted to have another conversation, but I wanted it to be about Newcastle. So right now, Eddie Howe's Newcastle are outside the Champions League places. They obviously have had a very difficult season with regards to injuries and stuff like that. And a lot of us could see this coming because when you add in the rigours of playing Champions League football and, being involved in games twice a week, it takes its toll, especially on a squad as small as Newcastle's. But the question I think I want to ask is twofold. Do you think Eddie Howe survives to the start of next season? And what player, if any, of the big players that they have, do you think they'll end up having to sell to finance bigger moves? And again, a good example of this was when we sold Coutinho and we bought Alisson and Van Dijk. So 2 questions. Will he make it to the start of next season? And who do you think ends up getting sold? Again, everybody coming in about Salah, we have seen it. We don't have the answer. We don't know. None of us do at this point. All we can do at the moment is hope that it's not serious and that Mo is back playing ASAP. So Salah's now walking on the pitch, shaking hands with the opposition. He was subbed as a precaution, which again is good news. So how does that leave them for in their standing in the competition? Because that's 2 draws from 2. But I am aware that in the AFCON, top 2 automatically go through, and then I think the best the best 4 third places also go through in the competition. So I'm not really sure how that leaves them set for potentially reaching the knockout phase. Right, Newcastle haven't really spent, but they've still got relegation players there. They should get rid of all of those by now. Bruno Guimaraes, Darwizi said, is the one that he thinks will be sold. Tonali. Yeah, Tonali just doesn't feel like he's going to settle properly. Now, I know, the dude's been banned for a while, but I feel like he'll want to get back to Italy at some point. Eddie Howe's the victim of his own success. Absolutely. It felt like last season came a little bit too early for Newcastle, but that's a weird thing to say, isn't it? That you're a victim of your own success, but I totally understand where you're coming from. Henderson Galbraith said Tonali or Guimaraes. Yes, he will be there next season, said Malcolm, and Guimaraes and Tonali back to Italy. 2 points and second in their group. So they still have a chance if they win their last game, then they're going through. If they beat Cape Verde, then they're through. Well, you would imagine. I know Cape Verde beat Ghana 2-1, but you'd imagine they'd beat Cape Verde. Isak to Arsenal and maybe Bruno Guimaraes to PSG. See, that would be a damn good piece of business for Arsenal. They were linked with Alexander Isak before he joined Newcastle as well, if I'm not mistaken. But he'd be probably ideal in that system. It's a very good show. Now, I don't know if Newcastle would be open to selling to Arsenal, because they would obviously look at Arsenal right now as a rival. But God, that would be a good show. I can see him doing really well at Arsenal. Basketball Philosophy said, I don't know, I'm feeling Mourinho that he'll go to Newcastle. It's realistic, mate. Mourinho obviously got fired by Roma. There's some talk that he might go to Portugal, but yeah, you could see Newcastle being an attractive proposition to him. And also some United fans want them back there. Some United fans have already been talking about maybe bringing him back to replace Ten Hag. The latest news about Salah now is he is injured in the Ghana game. Yeah, we've been through that, mate. He went off as a substitute for a precaution, is what we're hearing, but we don't know the actual ins and outs of it. Craig Egypt have not been playing their best, but they show promising signs in the second half. Mourinho to Saudi. Yeah, that's been spoken about, Arian, as well. You would imagine that, if they could lure a manager of the standing of Jose Mourinho to the Saudi Pro League, that would be another coup. And look, I would certainly say investing in managers is probably more astute than bringing in some of the players, if you're looking to highlight a league. I quite like Eddie Howe. His second, I don't like, said Rachel. Yeah, he's not very likable, Mr. Tyndall. I hope the PGMOL and VAR officials sober up when it comes to Liverpool matches. Otherwise, we'll break the Guinness record for the most apologies. Well, Coach Bill, you'll be delighted to know, mate, that Mr. Paul Tierney will be in the VAR hub for a game against Bournemouth at the weekend. So let's wait and see what. Let's wait and see how creative next week's apology is, because I'm sure something is going to happen. I think Jose would love to return to the Prem. Yeah, I wonder, has the game passed Jose by a bit? And I wonder this about Rafael Benitez as well, by the way. Obviously, he's at Celta Vigo at the minute. What's this? So, Newcastle are set to announce a series of new sponsorship deals in the coming weeks that will further help Eddie Howe in the transfer market. Newcastle have spent 400 million on players since he became coach in 2021. That comes from the Times. Really interested to see what these sponsorship deals are, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. What's the latest on City? Your guess is as good as mine, Zakir. Other than Richard Masters saying that the date for the hearing is set. I don't know anything else after that, pal. These park the bus coaches just ain't it no more, said Arian. Probably a Saudi airline. I have no idea. Like, I'm just reading what Mark sent me and it comes from the Times. So it just says Newcastle are set to announce a series of new sponsorship deals. That's all I can provide. That's all the information I can provide at the minute. They're making up the sponsors as we speak. Well, they just a little quick call to the lads up the road in Manchester, or down the road in Manchester, and they'll get some good advice on that. I can see Mourinho replacing Poch. Craig, I wonder if I see you on TV more than Ramesh Ranganathan. I love Ramesh Ranganathan, by the way. I've been to a few of his shows. Very funny man. But I tell you what, I'm not for TV, me. You know, imagine me hosting a League of Their Own or something. The bleep machine would be on overdrive. I often wonder will I ever get any of these type of little opportunities. Like, I wouldn't mind some radio gigs. I can't lie to you. I feel like radio would be more my scene than a TV show. My dream actually would be to work for ESPN radio or something like that over in America. That would be absolute bucket list stuff. Met Ramesh, was a lovely guy. Yeah, I've got tickets. Do you know what? You might think I'm lying, but I'm going to show you. I've got front row tickets to Ramesh's show in Dublin next year. Not even lying. Like, where is it? Oh, it's making me sign in. For fuck's sake. I'm not going through the signing crap. Well, I've got myself and my wife are going to see him in the Olympia next year. We've got front row, dead centre seats as well. So looking forward to that. I love City compared to United, said Brett Young. No, not for me. At least I can look at Manchester United and have respect for them. I don't like them. I want them to fail miserably, but I respect them as an institution. Craig Mourinho would be the Mancini of Newcastle, the manager before the manager, who oversees the period where superstars replace relegation players. I feel like he'd be a good bridge, like you've said. Stop with this Mbappe nonsense. How about no? That work for you? Nobody forced you to watch, mate. No one's forced you to come in and comment. And no. So, a lot of our fans are deluded. I apologise on behalf of them, said Linda. I don't know what that's about. Craig, can we sign Mbappe? Will you do a hot tub stream? I don't have a hot tub, so that might be a problem. What happened to Salah? Hamstring, by the looks of it, but we don't know the seriousness of it. So, look, my friends, I'm going to say goodnight to you. I will see you tomorrow, I think. What day is tomorrow? Friday? Let me have a look at the schedule and we'll tell you what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow, what have we got? Friday. Yep, same as today. So I'll see you at 4 p.m. for a transfer stream or a news stream tomorrow. Don't forget, please do check out the Clips channel before you head off for the night. Give it a sub. Check out some of the content on there. Much shorter form stuff than the longer form content we make on here. And I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully at 4 p.m. If I don't see you then, we'll be back at 8:30 tomorrow night. There's a video up on top of the league as well where I go through the Premier League academies and how many players are currently in Premier League squads and how many games they've played so far. So do check that out if you get a chance as well. But most importantly, and just for our friend in the chat, I will be back tomorrow and I will talk about Mbappe some more because, well, why not?